Yeah, obviously, great win by our guys. What is almost a week ago now, but great job playing some really good situational football in some critical moments, especially down the stretch, and for our field goal unit to take the field there for the final play of the game, and for Jackson to drill that kick was awesome. That he's got some special qualities about him, but that look in his eye and the confidence that he has, and at any point in time during the game, that's certainly something that is a big strength of his. But the guys went out and delivered, and put it right through the middle of the uprights. The field goal protection unit did a great job. The snap by Tucker was great. The hold by Lucas, and just a great moment. Obviously, they stalled there for a second to make sure all the time went off the clock. So, but it was a great win, great moment there for our guys in the locker room post game, and the bus ride was a lot of fun. I probably misspoke. I was trying to get it to where all 4 buses would have an opportunity to get the trophy. We only made it to 2. The fatigue level, the tiredness on the bus was tough. But that being said, if nothing else, the rattle and the clinging, whatever that noise, the best way to describe that, that in and of itself is enough just to hear that on the bus for 2.5 hours, depending on which bus you were on. That's an enjoyable clinging sound that might otherwise get somewhat annoying. So a great week, but obviously it was nice to get a couple extra days of rest here for our guys that have been banged up, and obviously moving full speed ahead as quick as possible on Kent State, and taking advantage of a couple extra bonus practice days. But obviously we're focused on having a great week of practice here and getting ourselves prepared to go for Saturday at home here against Kent State.
Coach, obviously with midweek action, with Bowling Green and Northern Illinois, you got a 6-day turnaround. When you're coming off such a tough loss against Bowling Green, and you turn around less than a week later and beat Northern Illinois, I guess, what did that stretch tell you the most about this team?
Well, I think the most impressive thing when we started the week, because as you said, disappointing, kind of gut-wrenching loss on the road, so we had to travel back home, got back late, had to give the guys the next day off, because obviously you got to give them a day off there. But when we came in here and we had to go to the practice field 2 days after that game, so we played Wednesday night, got back late. We were on the practice field Friday morning because we're a morning practice team. The guys got to go to school, so it's not like we can bump it back and give them a little extra time to rest. When I saw the intensity and the focus on the practice field from the guys collectively, from everybody on Friday, I felt good about where we were at in terms of bouncing back, in terms of moving on, and next play mentality and the mental toughness it takes to move on from a game like that. So I really felt good to start the week of preparation on Friday when we got on the practice field. And I think it just, it's a trophy game. And obviously, we talked a lot about the trophy and how they went on a run for 10 years. After the trophy game started, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2008. And then they went on a 10-year stretch there. And so to be able to win 4 out of the last 5, and, going into the game, obviously we won 3 out of 4. So there was, our approach to it meant a lot. It meant a lot to our guys. And so I appreciate the way they attacked the week, and starting with the guys that are veteran players that have been a part of some of those. And I think the focus, on the practice field that week, my hat is off to our guys, because that's where it all started, and the guys bounced back from a tough loss on the road.
Seems like the guys this year, despite losses and injuries and all of that, they seem very motivated. Like each and every week, you've preached that as well. Where does that come from them?
I just think more than anything else, man, when you're a competitor and you're only guaranteed so many of these in your life, and for some guys that are seniors, your final days are approaching when you're able to walk down the hallway here, see your buddies, see your boys, sit with them, and have a breakfast in the lobby there. And those days are winding down, man. And, don't ever take 1 second that you have for granted. And that's the one thing I appreciate about our guys is finish the fight, man. Always finish the fight. There is always something to play for. And look at the guy next to you when you're sitting in these seats in the morning, man, and just make sure you stay committed to laying it on the line for him. He's got to stay committed to laying it on the line for you. And those are the memories. You're going to remember the bus ride forever. They probably won't remember the week of practice, but they'll remember that bus ride. They'll remember that scene in the locker room. I was worried about a couple guys falling because it was a little wet on the ground. But they'll remember that forever. They'll talk about that forever. They'll talk about it maybe some of the next time they see each other, which you never know when you're done playing the game and you go in separate directions. So I just try to preach, don't ever take it for granted. I mean, there's a lot to play for. Anytime you have a chance to play the game, I don't give a damn if it's pick up basketball, I don't care if it's check, I don't care what it is, you're a competitor and you want to win and you want to put your best foot forward, and I just commend our guys for doing that.
Yeah, kind of on the topic of like reactions to the win. Obviously, Jackson was excited, the whole team was, but really someone who stood out to me was just Kyle's reaction. I know that for him, he always wants to be the guy that provides the most for the team, put the team on his shoulders, but more than anything, he kind of wants team success. What have you seen out of him as far as leadership qualities and support of other teammates?
I think just growth, and he's always been so receptive, whether it's Coach Lynch having a conversation with him, whether it's myself having a conversation, he's always so receptive to what can I do to be better. And if you saw how hard he worked in practice last week, we substitute quite a bit. We change personnel groups. Obviously, the communication from the sideline, communicating the personnel group, then guys getting on and off the field efficiently. Him being always aware of the play clock in the corner, so we don't ever have to burn a timeout. With a delay to avoid a delay game. He works so hard in practice every week, and the growth overall. And obviously, when you're playing that position, man, all the focus and the attention is on you. And sometimes when things go really well, you get too much credit. When things go poorly, you get too much of the blame. And so he's always handled himself very well, and he's grown every single week since he started that first game against Toledo, and he's continued to get better, and he's learned from his mistakes. I think that's key in all of this too. So when there is something that's happened, he's learned from it, and he's worked hard to get that corrected, whether it's in practice, whether it's in the meeting room. So he wants to be great, and it starts with that. And when you want to be great, you also got to be receptive to constructive criticism, to want to be coached, and those are all the things that he possesses, those qualities.
Yeah. What are some, areas of constructive criticism that you've thrown at him and challenged him with?
When you're playing quarterback, it starts with running the show in the huddle, running the show on the practice field. If you're practicing and you're the hardest practice player, like I try to preach to every guy on our football team, like all you can do is control your attitude and effort. But if you say that you're going to be the hardest practice player on the team, that's only going to elevate everybody else. So when you're the quarterback and you're the hardest worker on the team, we got no choice but to have a good practice. Because everybody else is taking their cue from you. And so just making sure every time you attack the practice field, whenever you come trotting out from the locker room, you got dressed, you're ready to roll. It's all business, man. Buckled up the chin straps, because if yours were buckled up and now these fancy helmets, now these speed flexes, there's no snap no more. So it's just you can push the button and it can be a little bit loose, but you can tell when it's loose. It's got a little bit of a bow to it. So when you got it locked up, that means you're locked in and ready to roll. Then obviously the next man looking at you goes, he's strapped up, ready to roll. I better be strapped up and ready to roll too. The walkthrough is a walkthrough. Do we have to tell you to slow down on the walkthrough? Do we got to tell you to slow down when we're an individual? Those are all things that when you're the QB and you're attacking the practice field, that kind of mentality and that kind of mindset, it's only going to make everything else better, and everybody else has got to step up their game and make sure that they're matching what your effort is. And so all those things, running the huddle on the practice field, because a lot of times in practice you're working on your game plan stuff. Not every rep's going to be perfect, because we're getting maybe a look from a defense or an offense or whatever it may be for the first time. You might have to repeat it. We try to avoid that, because you try to make sure it's all ready to roll. The cards are ready to roll when you get out on the field. But you got to do damage control on the field too. You might look out there and see the receiver's not in the correct split. The tight end's supposed to be off the ball, not on the ball. Those are things that fall back on you ultimately. When you're talking about scanning the surface, scanning the playing field, you got to make sure everybody's right, because that little tweak or that little mishap can affect the outcome of the play. So those are all things that he's done a great job mixing up the snap count. We're playing against some teams that do have a good pass rush, and how can we neutralize that? Can you mix up the snap count? Those are all things that, you talk about it, but you also have a lot on your mind when you go out there. You're thinking about the play, the execution of the play. I got to make sure I remember, man, I got to change up the snap count, help my guys out up front. But if they're also going to give us a free 5 yards, then we got to show if they've shown that on tape, and they've been a team that's had a couple penalties that way. So a lot goes into it, and he works tirelessly at it, and he's continued to improve on it every day. And every day is important, not just the game. All the work that you put in in a midweek game, different, but all the work that you put in, from that day after the game until, the morning of the game, all that stuff adds up to whether or not you're going to have a chance to be successful and lead your team.
Yeah. With these final 2 home games of the year, what are you, I guess, looking for the most out of this team?
I really want to play good football, man. That's it. Play good football and put ourselves in a position to win. And it starts with, not to be boring, but it all starts with what we do on the practice field. Like I told you, and I'm being real, like when I saw us on the practice field on that Friday, 2 days after the Bowling Green game, I love the intensity and focus. I'm like, these guys are ready to go back to work, because it could have been heartbreak. There's a lot being talked about, us being whatever, but nobody bought into anything. Obviously, guys just did a great job we got a lot to play for, because we got each other. We got these seniors here that we need to make sure that we finish the fight for those guys and send them out the right way. So I want to play good football, man. I want to have a great week of preparation, build our confidence to where it needs to be, so we can go out on Saturday and play the type of football that we're capable of playing.
Kind of going off that, last 2 games at home, what does that opportunity mean for you to be able to finish the season off possibly on a high note here?
I'm fired up to be back at home, especially after the longest bus trip of the year, and a short turnaround. We got back at 4:45 in the morning, or 4:30, whatever it was. Excited to be back here at home. But again, in saying that, it's a one day at a time approach. It's all about the practice, man. We got to wait until the end of the week, or a week and a half in this particular case, before we get a chance to lace them up and put on the game uniform and the game helmet. But we got to make the practice field count. We got to make the meetings count. And guys do a great job. Every lift that we have, it's important, man, because it's going to give us an edge. And so just trust in the process, finishing the fight, focus so hard on us, just having a great week here. I don't care what Kent State's record is. I really don't. They're a football team. They've had a lot to deal with. They've had a lot of injuries that they've had to deal with this year. A new head football coach who I met for the first time at Mac Media Day. Got a lot of respect for him. He's working his tail off. But obviously they've been through some challenges. They're going to play their off when they come in here on Saturday. They're going to fight. They're going to scratch. They're going to claw. They're going to put their best foot forward, and it's going to be a battle. And so we got to have a great week of preparation here and be so focused on us and making sure that our mindset's where it needs to be.
And the defense had kind of a big game against NIU, forcing those turnovers. What do you think they took away from that game?
Yeah, 3 turnovers. Disappointing that we weren't able to capitalize on the first one, where Jordan Riley recovered that fumble on the exchange problem that they had there. Weren't able to put points on the board. Disappointing. But to have 2 huge turnovers in the fourth quarter to win the fourth quarter. Both of those turnovers in the fourth quarter we were able to turn into points. A touchdown there, and obviously the field goal to win the game. But that's huge. We won the turnover battle in some of the other games. It all starts with that. You can circle that number, and if you're on the wrong side of that, a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, most times that tells you what the outcome of the game is. And so huge. Obviously we work on it every single day. Hopefully that's a trend of turnovers coming in bunches now. But great job by our defense capitalizing. Huge play there, by Red Potts at the end of that football game. There's a guy that's been around our program a long time, done a lot of great things, battled back from adversity, had a club on his hand for a big part of the year, starting to gain his fingers back, so now he's got new life. But for him to deliver on that sack, forced fumble there was huge, and to see him have that moment, so proud of him, and for us to be able to finish that, to win the fourth quarter 10-0, to play really good situational football. So defense has been so consistent for the last 5 weeks after that Western game on the road. You look over the last 5 weeks, man, so consistent. And I think what the offense has done the last 3 weeks, that formula, winning the third down, winning the time of possession, putting our, the rushing numbers have been very consistent that way. So the guys up front, but we just got to keep getting better, keep working our tail off, and obviously it's exciting to be back here at home.
Coach, going off what you were just talking about, Kent State, what kind of evaluation, scouting report-wise, do you have from them?
I'm telling you, they've been through lots of injuries, and it's obviously those are part of every season for every team. But they've stayed together, playing their tail off, even though they've had to deal with that. And when I turn on the tape, man, they've been right there. And all of a sudden, something will happen, something will change the momentum of the game, and then they get themselves behind. But they've done a great job every week of tuning out any criticism, anything like that. They've obviously doing a great job of keeping their guys focused and motivated on the practice field, because when they show up, whether it's a home game, road game, they're ready to play and they're going to give you great effort. They're going to give you a battle, and it's no different. You know, that's the same thing that we're going to get from them. And again, I got a lot of respect for Coach Burns, and having met him and knowing what his background is and all that, they're going to be ready to play, and they're going to battle through any adversity that they have. And it all starts with us having a great week and making sure we take advantage of every day we got.
Are there any strengths or particular star players that they have that you feel like you need?
They've had some turnover personnel the last 2 weeks. They played a new quarterback that, you know, obviously it looks like he's going to be the guy that's playing moving forward here. And, you know, obviously we're familiar with some of the guys from a couple years past, but they've had some turnover in terms of their personnel, whether it's offense, defense, special teams. And obviously we're fortunate to have the running back that was with them a year ago, having him here with us, because he's done a lot of great things here for us, and he's been really consistent, especially the last 4 or 5 games.
I was kind of just curious, the RPO offense you guys are running now, that's not like a scheme that you guys have ran in the past, really, right?
We've done it. I would say we've not majored in it. The percentages of what we're running it now, we just haven't majored in it. It's always been a part of what we do, because if you're going to load the box with some of the running backs that we've had here, going back to Caleb Conley, going back to Carson, going now with Coop, if you're going to load the box and, you know, have an extra defender in there, then you're going to give us an access throw, or you're going to give us an RPO on the outside. Then that's always been a part of it. We're just doing it a little bit more now than we would have done in the past.
And I guess, you know, since you are expanding it and you have Kyle, who's even more of a threat with his legs than past quarterbacks, I was just kind of curious how you guys went about majoring in it, developing it to expand it.
I think it's his comfort level more than anything else. When you're a runner and you have the threat to run like Kyle does, I think it's a comfort level piece of it. And, you know, anytime we've been on the practice field since he's been here, back in 2021 when we got here, those are things that, you know, he probably different than some of the other quarterbacks in that position room, whether it's this year or years past since he's been here. There's a comfort level for him in regards to that. So obviously the zone read stuff, because no other quarterback in there, no offense to anybody else, but no other quarterbacks had that kind of ability with their legs the way that Kyle does. And so whether it's been this year, last year, anything like that, I think it all comes down to comfort level. And you want him to be, make sure that you put him in a good space that way to make sure he can go out and execute and play fast and feel confident in what he's doing.
But, at least statistically, Kent State's defense has been, yardage-wise, better against the run than the pass. So is this an opportunity to maybe focus a little more on passing game?
Yeah, and I'd say they're third right now, rush defense, and they've done a good job with that. So obviously, every week we want to make sure that we have a game plan ready to go. If they are doing a good job of taking away the run and limiting that for whatever reason in game, then we got to have an answer. So you never go into a week and say, hey, we're going to put all our eggs in this basket. We're only going to worry about running the football. Every week you got to have a balanced game plan, because they have the ability to adjust too. And then obviously we get in the game and for some reason they do a great job of taking something away. You got to have a counter. You got to have an answer to that. So we work tirelessly every week on the passing game. Those are something we tried to take advantage of. The 2 bonus practice days that we had this week, and every week we got to have a great plan that way. All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll be back with our 2 guys. Mikhari, obviously a big game last week against Northern Illinois. I feel like you've been a leader of this defense all year, and turnovers has been something that you guys have preached. I know that I'm pretty sure Stock preaches 3 turnovers a game. You guys did that last week. How have you guys been working to force more turnovers lately?
It's always just been an emphasis in practice. Every time we take the field in practice, we think about, run to the ball, if you're the second man in, hit the ball out. So just always like preaching that on the field, and shows up in games.
What's your mindset when it comes to trying to force turnovers? Is it like a concerted effort on every play, or are you just trying to attack the quarterback?
Yeah, no, that's a mentality. Is definitely like involved with the game, but it's all about having that effort. Like if you run into the ball and you're pursuing to the ball, like good things happen. So it's all about effort.
For sure. I guess coming off like a loss against Bowling Green, that was tough. Coach was just talking about how you guys attacked the practice field before NIU with a lot of intensity and motivation. Why was that something that was important to do, just to get right back at it on a short week?
It's always important. Like you said, it's a short week, so the turnaround's going to be quick. So intensity's got to be high, the focus has got to be high, and that's really why you don't have the same amount of days as you do, like we do this week, having a bye week or just a normal week. So the intensity's got to be at all-time high.
And I guess with these last 2 home games of the year against Kent State and Miami, what's the motivation of this team?
The motivation is still high. Everybody prides themselves on being a player, going out there and balling. So the motivation's up there, the intensity's up there. Everybody's giving all they got, and there's no quitting this team.
What's something that you want to see out of the defense in these final 2 games?
I just want to see improvement. Like keep working and keep getting better. We've had a good past couple weeks. Every day, take one day at a time and just keep getting better and better and improving upon it.
Is there any specific areas that you're wanting to see improved?
Just like no specific areas really. Just like a total complete game. Full 4 quarters and put it all together.
For sure.
Yep.
Kent State has obviously been struggling in the win-loss column this year, but Coach said they're playing a new quarterback. What do you kind of know about him? What do you kind of know about their offense?
We've been watching film on their offense. They've got some areas where they excel in. It's MAC football. You can't downplay anybody regardless of the situation. They're going to come out and they're going to give their best effort, and we're going to do the same.
What are some of the areas that they excel in?
They've got a few running backs. They got some good receivers that I've seen on film so far. So, limiting them will be a big emphasis for us.
As a defense, coming home, the enthusiasm coming off the walk-off win, how do you guys kind of feed off that energy and the home crowd's energy?
It's going to be good to be back in the shoe. Having these last 2 games. Like we said, giving all our effort. It's going to be good after a good win that we had last week, and just using that momentum to carry us through the rest of the season.
Do you feel like colder weather has impacted the defensive performance at all?
Not really. I feel like when you're on the field, you don't even think about it twice.
Obviously, the defensive line has been pretty close all season. What do you think makes that group kind of just click together?
I'd really say it's the things that we do off the field, just hanging out with each other, being with each other. So, that's really what makes us close. Yeah.
Yes, man.
All right.
All right. Marquez Cooper.
Obviously, I feel like this is probably a big game for you in general. Obviously, we know the history with Kent State. Would it be fair to say that you're going into this game with a little added motivation?
I want to say that I'm going to the game with the same motivation I have every week, and that is to win and do my best. It's no bad blood between us. They showed me love over there, and I got love for some guys still over there.
Do you feel like it should help a little bit for you to succeed, kind of knowing the personnel?
You saying the defensive personnel over there?
Yeah.
Not really, because in practice they gave us multiple different looks, and I was in a different offense, so the scheme was different. So they would line up to it different than they're going to line up to us now. So just got to be ready for every look presented on Saturday.
That's fair. You excited to catch up with some guys? I know there's been a lot of turnover in the program, but if there are some guys that are there that you're close with, is that something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, that's what I'm most excited about, just seeing their faces, seeing that they're doing well and healthy and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be exciting to play against some of those guys that that you're friends with as well. Friendships, relationships, you talk trash with one another and stuff like that. So it's a game about pride and bragging rights in a bit. So this is going to be exciting. Yeah, I remember a few weeks ago you just said that you want to finish this year with 1,000 yards again. I know that there's only 2 games left in the regular season, but how are you kind of approaching these final 2 games?
Yeah, that was some added motivation for sure. So that's my biggest motivation to try to get there and accomplish that for the 3rd year in a row. And also the coaches have claimed this another trophy game called the Cooper Cup. So, I've been taking that seriously too. So that's 3 straight trophy games that I see in the last 3 games. So I'm excited for them all.
For sure.
Yeah.
I guess with Kyle, now that it's been, I think, 4 games with him starting and you in the backfield, what's the comfort level there?
It's very comfortable, and it's getting to a level. It's getting higher and higher and growing every single day. And I'm sure that y'all can tell that if y'all been locked in through the whole season. And we're just gonna keep the train rolling. And our record definitely doesn't reflect how good this team could be.
Yeah, I was talking with Kyle, and he was just saying that. I mean, I've noticed it as well, like the comfort level in the offense, especially since he's come in. Do you think part of that goes down to like his ability to run the ball? I know he lives with Vaughn and Rico. Do you think he's just better able to connect with like everyone on the offense because of that?
I think because of what he can do as a runner, it just helps us move the chains more, when we're not doing it in the passing game or something like that. And when we're in my run game, it helps me because, some guys might have some eyes on him when he's handing the ball off because they might think he could still use his legs. So for those reasons, I feel like we've been able to flourish a little more offensively.
For sure.
Yeah, so, last game, how you had those 2 fumbles on those kind of handoff keeper transfers. I don't think you and Kyle have had that problem at all since he kind of became a starter. How are you guys, so good at avoiding those costly mistakes?
We do a thing called tracks every single day. So it's just the quarterback and the running back basically just working on simple handoffs, just things like that, and just the plays we're going to run the most. So we do that every single day leading up to the game, and I think that really helps with our transaction.
I mean, is it also sort of like a chemistry thing? Because I would assume every quarterback does it a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's just a chemistry and a repetition thing, and I think we both understand how important the ball security is, and I understand that, it might be a read option. So going through the mesh, I can't clamp down on the ball because I got to let him make the full decision. So, I think we both got a good understanding of each other.
Last one for me. So Vaughn, obviously he had the early season injury and was out for a while, but I think last game you kind of saw a little bit more of what he's kind of capable of doing. Is having him back into form, how does that kind of help you in the offense?
It helps us in the offense just because, if I need a breather or I'm not, or just like his ability to come in and be a change of pace guy, for the defense could be a little hard for them to adjust to. And then I come back in the game and do something, and it might be like, dang, they don't know who's doing what. So that's kind of helps us too.
And obviously, late in the season, it's a long season. How are you able to stay kind of locked in as if these late games are kind of like a week 1?
I'm just able to stay locked in because I understand the importance of every game, and I understand that every game, every opportunity is a blessing to get. Even though it is sad playing against my old team and coaches, it's a blessing to put on shoulder pads and a helmet and be televised. So I'm excited for it.
Thanks, dude.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You have a great